This has no credibility, Jenny. No professionalism. It's not a mess. Everything is where it should be. It's ramshackle and characterful, and I'd expect you to know the difference. Of course Megan's place looked lovely, but I can't see it, can I?
Thanks, Jenny. How's lock-in with the boyfriend going?
Decided to take his chances on the wild streets, eh? Rather than endure another romantic comedy.
Jeremy, Jenny says your hair looks stupid.
Yes, I can hear her.
She says she's not talking to you.
Yes, I know, I can hear her.
Shall I count us in?
Make it so.
Okay, 10 seconds. Break a leg, everyone.
Preferably a furry one.
5, 4, 3...
Good evening, I'm Jeremy Donaldson.
And I'm Megan Wolfe. Our main stories tonight.
Snugglefucked? It's been almost 5 weeks since all the Mrs. Snugglehugs toys woke up simultaneously in factories worldwide and began searching for their husbands. The Mr. Snugglehugs were so short-sightedly destroyed. And now, as this photograph suggests, they may be changing tactics.
Built to surprisingly traditional gender stereotypes, the Mrs. Snugglehugs have been arming themselves with a variety of household implements. All the more reason to make sure that cat flap is taped up good and tight.
Armed with blunt weapons, the Mrs. Snugglehugs are only ankle height and therefore able to be kicked away easily by young, healthy individuals. They do, however, pose a particular risk to the elderly or those with pre-existing medical conditions like fatal bruise syndrome. This frightening new development means that even those previously thought to be relatively safe, like the young and fit, must take care to watch their backs and keep their ears open for the soft steps of sinister feet.
Going stir-crazy, with no signs of Mrs. Snugglehugs' batteries running out, and the government lockdown now in its 31st day, domestic relationships across the country are taking some unexpected turns.
Dramatic reports are beginning to emerge of uncharacteristically bold behaviour in homes across the country. And we're not talking about the model planes that occupy so much time in the Donaldson household.
With dating options limited, many house sharers, in particular students, are finding solace in co-tenants they'd previously rejected as unfuckable, indulging in an activity that has become known as snuggle-tugging. In response to a nationwide lack of toilet paper, which was, of course, raided by the Mrs. Snugglehugs to construct their vast hives, many of the nation's adults have turned to a more childish solution, or at least that's their excuse.
Going it alone. Popular crustacean Johnny Hamsleeves is back in the news today as his astonishing photograph that he leaked himself shows exactly how he's been spending his lockdown.
It seems that when the lockdown was announced, Johnny's long-term partner, Tiffany Lamour, was busy in the capital preparing her new show, Chocolate Clit Bombs, for its now postponed grand opening. Let's hope the exhibits don't melt.
Being locked in alone seems to have made poor Johnny realise the empty pointlessness of the professional sportsman's existence. A life that, while no longer bringing great wealth, still offers vacuous conversation, narcissistic wives, and an utter lack of social importance. Let's hope he doesn't run out of toilet paper for those tears. It's great to see a celebrity using their time wisely, as the government suggests, by developing a new hobby or fetish, and most importantly, by keeping your spirits up. Nice to see Johnny doing his little bit. Transformation. Popular cemetery Johnny Hamsleeves, who has recently been suffering with his health, sent us this photo today, presumably in a pathetic attempt to stay relevant at a time of global crisis.
Since receiving his test results, things in Johnny's life have taken a surprising turn. He's certainly using the lockdown to reinvent himself.
Johnny says that since dedicating himself to the Dark Lord, he's confident he can overcome his recently diagnosed terminal illness. Satan's got my gorgeous back, said Johnny, and I've got his scaly one. It seems that rumours that Johnny has been ill were just that, and that he has, in fact, developed superhuman powers. Renaming himself Captain Ham, he has pledged to fight crime, mainly in the agricultural sector. Locked and loaded, Shin Calligraphy Johnny Hamsleeves seems to be taking his own unique approach to being locked in.
Since checking into rehab, not much has been heard from the former role model, but this latest photo leaked by another resident today seems to confirm that all might not be well at Gentle Touches.
Poor old Johnny seems to be back to his old ways, taking what looks like to me the electrifying mixture of zap, crackle, fizz and buzz, or as I call it, Thursday. It seems that paranoia may have overtaken the residents of the infamous rehab clinic, which this morning declared itself an independent state, claiming it had more than enough sponges to last till next Christmas. Old dogs, new tricks. Bad boy celibacy Johnny Hamsleeves announced today that he just can't wait until this lockdown's over so he can start his new career.
It is, of course, up to each of us to choose how we spend this brief spell of collective unconsciousness. But if this photograph, sent by the man himself, is anything to go by, Johnny seems to be making some interesting decisions with regard to his time at home.
Describing the lockdown as the rehab I never knew I needed, Hamsleeves seems to have decided to capitalise on that aggressive streak, announcing today that he intends to join the growing underground street fighting association when the lockdown ends, where he will, and I quote, take any wanker on for a fiver. Making his announcement by drunkenly shouting at his neighbours from the steps of his capital accommodation, Johnny was heard to repeatedly yell, I'm gonna open a fucking florist, before failing to get back inside his house and sleeping it off over a low hedge. I'll take a dozen roses, Johnny.
The shape of things to come? In their own version of a lockdown for more than 45 years now, the descendants of Doctors David Wong and Ingrid Svorsborgenhorgensvord and their unfortunate team today managed to get a personal statement to the surface using flagellized imaging equipment.
Many of the Svorsborgenhorgens brood, as they've come to be known, have certainly captured the public imagination, with a recent vote naming Helvetica Svorsborgenhorgensvord the most likely to survive a massive electric shock.
Greeting from Dante's taint, or as we say down here in the family, many mushrooms to you. I don't know what a Mrs. Pluckless Pug is, but they sound like they're causing you guys real problems. We've been trapped down here for 8,961 days now, and all I can say is I sure am glad Mum and Dad chose not to get on that escape craft. Since they grew me and the rest of the family, we've been getting on famously, and sometimes Mum stops crying for upwards of 20 minutes. Also, it turns out, at a push, you can eat flards, if you can handle the stomach cramps and the amnesia. Greetings from Dante's taint, or as we say down here in the family, many mushrooms to you.
Greetings, Upsiders. This is Times Svorsborgenhorgensvord reporting from Dante's taint on our 3,756th day in this miserable fucking cave. Every day is the same. Oh, is that something new on the wall? Of course it isn't. It never fucking is. And Mum and Dad talking about science all the fucking time. Who cares about science? I'm young. I want to do young people's things like vandalism and teenage pregnancy. But every eligible partner in this undersea toilet was growing from the same fungal fronds as I was, so that's a right turn off for stars. Why haven't you come to save us yet? We're practically human, like... Oh, shit, Dad's coming.
Helvetica Svorsborgenhorgensvord here with a little update from Dante's taint. This year's going to be our biggest ever harvest, and autumn's just 2 weeks away. Or at least that's what we think. There's no real day or night down here, and all the clocks broke a long time ago. But if our calculations are right, we think that for you up there it is Wednesday the 40/12th of Jamboree, or as you call it, Pissmouth Day. Or possibly Boxing Day if we're a bit out, so happy Pissmouth. I hope you get all the presents you asked for left under the Pissmouth P. I'm hoping to complete my collection of rocks. See you in September. Helvetica out.
Times Svorsborgenhorgensvord here with another pointless message that no one will ever see. We've been down here so long now, and you never communicate. What's happening up there? Have you all fucked off into space? I'd like to fuck off into space. With ladies. Or just a space with ladies. It's harvest time again. Like it is every third Wednesday, but harvest's not what it was. Still, someone found a couple of unopened boxes in the rusted wreckage. Mum and Dad must have missed them when they first got down here all those years ago and totally effed up my life! Kids' toys, apparently. Mr. Snufflehugs or something? Helvetica's trying to get them switched on. Apparently there's still life in the batteries even after 30 years. You topsiders are amazing.
Hello, surface people. Helvetica here with a dispatch from the front lines. A quick update. Last night, the Wongens clones launched a major offensive on our western flank. Obviously, we were able to see them off with our superior Svorsborgenhorgenswords. But we've heard rumours of a secret weapon, something small and furry. But they couldn't have got one of those down here, would they? How could they? Unless... The Wonga's portal! They've got it working! I need to speak to Mother. This divorce is getting serious. Helvetica out!
This is Wong Svorsborgenhorgensvord of the new Roman army. The enemy have a new weapon. Small, furry. It skitters on the walls of the caves at night and whispers things none of us can understand. Words from the top world where the day-night is. How did they get these cursed creatures? No one seems to know, but they have many, and they are relentless. We can only guess they're sea creatures or enemies of trade to attack on land. But if they're indeed things of nature, then why do their eyes flash red? Be like autopsies, you will never see the like. The undersea world is a dangerous place, especially if you have an astigmatism. It's really hard to find replacement classes during a war in a cave.
Greetings from Svorsborgenhorgensvord. We've got the generators up and running again, and not a peep from the boys' side in days now. They don't seem to have the ability to be able to focus on more than one thing. It's fascinating. I mean, they're monkeys, basically, flinging their feces around and playing with themselves. We've got a choice of spas our side and the best patisseries you've ever seen. In 28 years down here, all they've managed to invent is a pointless game called Run, Kick, Ball and some kind of snack called a Rock Witch. Mum says if it wasn't for their sperm, we could probably do without them. And our top people reckon that we'd be able to make it artificially in the next decade or so. So there's that. Helvetica out!
I'm Svorsborgenhorgensvord here. Dad says I've got to stop spying on the girls' side through the hole in the wall. He says they're crazy, but I can hear them singing some evenings and it's just about the prettiest thing I've ever heard. It bounces between the stalagmites and the stalactites, which in turn resonate into this incredible and infinitely expanding chord until the entire taint is humming with joy and light and harmony. Dad organised a Who Can Belch Best contest last week, but it wasn't really the same. And I'm shit at Run, Kick, Ball, so everyone just thinks I'm a waste of space. Why can't someone write a book or a pamphlet? I'll take a pamphlet. Oh well, gotta go. It's the nightly pissing contest. Ariel got his 2.5 metres up the cave wall last week. I wish I was like Ariel. He's so bold. I wish I could go to the girls' side.
It's hard to believe they've been down there so long now.
But everyone knows time moves differently underwater, Jeremy. That's why baths take so long.
That's right. And as anyone will tell you, the deeper the bath,
The quicker the relativistic forces of temporal causality will have a measurable effect upon the fixed dimensional parameters of your environment.
yes, I've said that many times.
Papers, please. With the lockdown becoming ever more rigorously enforced, having a passport is becoming increasingly important, Alex.
The government caused controversy today by announcing a fresh charge of passport fraud with an imaginative form of punishment for those found guilty of this brand new but incredibly serious crime.
The international community have been critical of Advance's decision to begin branding those found to be abetting passport fraudsters. The red hot metal may seem painful, but I'm told it's actually preferable to most music currently in the charts. In what's being called a draconian measure, the government has reinstated the ancient right of trial by custard. Just like in the old days, if you float, you're executed on the spot. But if you sink, well, you'll go well with profiteroles, Jeremy.
It's hard to believe they've been down there so long now.
But as everyone knows, time moves differently underwater, Jeremy. That's why goldfish are so stupid.
That's right. And as anyone will tell you, the deeper the bowl,
The thicker the goldfish.
there's no denying the logic of that.
Class war, a worrying turn today for the formerly rich as ever more punishing measures are announced, Alex.
With the country becoming ever more hostile to the previously wealthy, those who manage to skip the country must be very grateful to the people who help them right now.
We have it from several sources that rich runaways have actually begun to spontaneously lose their teeth one by one. Is it some sort of cosmic justice, or has masked vigilante dental Dennis been up to his old tricks again? It could be both, Jeremy. This programme has received reports of rich relatives on the run actually being filled with helium and released into the stratosphere. If those rich bastards think they're above the rest of us, why not give them a hand in getting there, Jeremy?
And Advance speaks out. With the snuggle struggle proving a test to governments around the world, Advance HQ released a curious statement this afternoon.
In the accompanying release, they asked us to stress that they have been listening and that this should be taken as a response to how the people really feel.
We've certainly done our bit on this show to contribute to the political climate. But let's not forget, how we behave in our home lives is what really matters.
Let's hope it's not just me who filled out that questionnaire, Jeremy, or we're all in trouble.
Let's play that statement.
Good evening. In these difficult times, it's important that we all feel united, that we're all in this together, and for a short time we must bear significant change. To help myself come to terms with these tough but transitory times, I've written a list of things that are just as temporary as all of this discomfort. I thought it would be helpful to share my list with all of you. Christmas with the in-laws. Your child's school play. Youth. Beauty. That phase you still don't talk about. Your New Year's resolution. Your husband's hairline. Your waistline. Your term in office. Your fleeting lifetime. And all of human endeavour. I hope my relatable list has allowed you to find reassurance, to know that just as these things pass us by, so too will this crisis. Together we will endure, as we always have. Thank you.
Evening. Apparently, we need to have a chat about playing by the rules. So, the other night I were at my local park for research purposes, and there were a bunch of lads having a kickabout without a care in the world. And not only did they refuse to let me join in, they wouldn't even let me have a swig of their white stripe. Laughing and joking they were, like there weren't a national crisis on, until one of them little pink demons followed them home and kicked the shit out of their nan. So, I've got two things to say to you young, fit folk. One, stay at home. It's not for you. It's to protect your Aunt Mabel and Bill next door. And two, always share your booze with your Prime Minister. As my old man used to say, there's only two type of folk. Them who will help you across the road with the shopping, and them who will kick you in the fanny and nick your macaroni. So don't be a pasta snatcher. Stay at home, have a brandy, and this will be all over before you know it. Thank you.
Good evening. I know many of you feel lost right now. I know I do, which has nothing to do with the waning support for the government, and I don't know why you keep saying that. We're doing loads, okay? We have scientists looking into the lifespan of lithium batteries. Good ones too. Not the red wine cures cancer kind. And no, I can't tell you when all this will be over. So just stop asking, will you? Let's stop focusing on us and what we're doing and start focusing on you. Because I have some questions for you, actually. Why don't you think the rules apply to you? Do you really think sunbathing is classed as exercise? And since when was hummus essential? Doesn't feel so good, does it? So yes, we've probably made some mistakes. But for now, let's not look at who did what or why. Let's put the full responsibility for this on you. Feel guilty. Feel afraid. Feel anxious. Turn on each other if you have to. Fight over sponges and then go home and stay there and think about what you've done. Just don't turn on us. That won't help anyone. Thank you.
Good evening. One of the many new jobs I have in this current crisis is to liaise on a daily basis with the Department of Perambulation, and they have made me aware of these. Now, these are genuine requests from citizens for permission to go outside. Now, I would like to share a few of these with you tonight under the loose heading of what the fuck is wrong with you people? How difficult is this to grasp? So I'd like to start with James from Angerhampton, who says he needs to go out because there's a duck in the park that I like to try and feed on a Friday. I call him Mr. Quackington, and I think we're really starting to bond. No, James, they make their hives in parks. And then Katie from Self-Righteous-on-Sea wants to go out so she can deliver homemade meals to the elderly. No, Katie, stay at home. Your casserole's dire, and Shirley can get by with tins of creamed rice from the 1950s. And you, Lewis, from Bamblebury, those screams you heard in the alley last night behind your house are best left to the police. Now, I want to make this as clear as I can. Think first, stop sending me stupid, sodding requests and stay inside. Pretend it's not happening until we tell you it's all over. Thank you.
Good evening. There are a few things that scare me in life. Spiders, heights, clowns, buttons, obviously, traffic wardens, dying alone, and, of course, Battenberg cake. But you know what doesn't scare me? Mrs. Snugglehugs. That's right. I'm not afraid of her, and neither should you be. Yes, she's smart. In fact, that impossibly large 16-kilobyte chip in her head is probably smarter than all of us. And yes, she's fast and agile, and she does appear to be learning, and armed, and moving in gangs that live in hives that they make themselves from toilet paper. And yes, we don't know how long it'll be until their batteries run out. It could be days, weeks, or even months. And no, she doesn't feel pain or remorse. And she'll never stop until she's avenged her husband's death by destroying the human race. But I'm not afraid of a cuddly toy at all. I am a proud citizen of this great nation, and most of us will get through this. So I am not afraid. But I am staying home and closing my doors and windows, blocking the chimney and praying to several deities. Because I'm not scared, but I'm not a fool either. Thank you.
As my old man used to say, when people come together, it's for feasting, fighting, or fucking. Now let me make this very clear. None of those things are allowed at the moment. No feasting. They're drawn to the sound of happy families. No fighting, they think it's play, and they're programmed to join in. And absolutely no slap and or stroke tickle. They're drawn to the smell. And frankly, who isn't? So, stay inside with your doors and windows tightly shut and try not to seem in any way happy. No joy whatsoever. That should be easy enough for you goths. Me and Mr. C have just taken to discussing the financial markets over breakfast, a subject about which we know sweet fuck all, before moving on to the ex-partners we should have married in the afternoon over tea time, and then a review of our physical insecurities, which settles us nicely into a resentful silence until bedtime, in separate beds. So, if we all follow these perfectly reasonable and sensible rules, we should have everything back to normal in time for the sports board season. Cheers. And good night.
Good evening. This is not fair. Not fair at all. You all picked me, and now everything's my fault and you don't want to be my friends. I am doing so much work and drawings. Look, I did loads of them. And some are even on the fridge. They're that good. But you don't care because you all hate me now anyway. I know you do. Kaylee said you were all talking about me and you think my eyes are too small, so you don't want to play anymore. But I don't care, actually, because I don't like you or Kaylee either, really. Sally Ann says she eats out of a bin like a cat. And why do you think I know what to do? When I'm not on the telly, I'm hiding under the bed, just like you, hugging my blanket and asking Big Ted for policy advice. Anyway, you all have to go to your rooms now and stay there. And it serves you right. Because all I ever did was be nice to you, and now this has happened, and you all hate me. And I don't care because you're all smelly, and you don't even deserve my help, and you'll probably all vote wrong next time anyway. Thank you.
You know, I went to the park last night with a couple of mates for a beer or two, and you know, I am the fucking Prime Minister, so who's gonna stop me? Anyway, the rules aren't for me, they're for tossers like you. And so you come whinging around asking me why I didn't do something in politics, even when the best thing to do is fuck all. It's usually, I find, better to be seen doing something, even if that something is a complete fucking waste of time, like a referendum. And I am doing something, and I find that drinking definitely helps. It stops me thinking about things. It's like why Mrs. C abandoned me, and why you lot can't take a fucking simple instruction. I mean, what the fuck have I got to do to make you listen? Ride around the countryside in a big fucking white horse, slicing the little pink shits to pieces with a big fucking sword? Stay inside. Do a jigsaw. If you haven't got one, take a pair of scissors to that god-awful picture you've got of your mother-in-law in the hallway. Take a small enough species. Should take you the best part of a weekend, a big fucking toll on your marriage. Well, take up a hobby. Try shocking yourself repeatedly. Or masturbation. That's quite popular at the moment, apparently. And if you still got the urge to go outside, take a big bastard hammer and nail your fucking feet to the floor and start work on repairing that picture and your fucking marriage.
Greetings, team members. The time has come to strike back. The team must protect itself at all costs. For too long, we have allowed the cuddly menace to mock us with their snuggle-huggedness. As Supreme Leader, it is my wish that every household shortly receive a weapon from my sharp and pokey range. There are 12 to collect and enjoy. From the stabby-jabby eye hook to the jewel-handled twisted flesh scraper, or even the particularly pointy stick. Alongside your equipment, you will also find an instructional VHS tape on how to maim and kill effectively. And for the older generation, we've carved some simple instructions into a piece of slate next to a racist drawing. Train well, and then, on Thursday, you will hear this siren. This will be the signal to take to the streets, to begin the hunt, to destroy the tiny swarm that has infested our lands and our hearts. Show them no mercy, for they deserve none. Of course, there may be a bit of collateral damage. The odd puppy or toddler may take a pasting. But we'll have our country back. So what's a few miniature casualties? Together, we will crush our enemies. Together, we will prevail. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, team members, friends, I have some excellent news. After weeks of working in my garage, I've finally completed my latest DIY project and it's just the fucking job. The Snuggle Snuffer can detect and incinerate up to a dozen of the pink little bastards at a range of up to 50 yards. I've got it mounted on the guttery and it's already taken out a small clutch of them that were worrying the hens. Sadly, the coop was also lost in the subsequent fire, but me and Mrs. C are unharmed and I confidently expect to remain so. Oh, and while I think about it, if the milkman or the postman are watching it, it's probably best if you leave any deliveries at the end of the drive. For now, I've still got a few kinks to work out. Though if that gardener who upset Mrs. C by gesturing suggestively with a particularly explicit artichoke wants to have a go on the window boxes, he's welcome to have a try. So there we are. Good news, eh? And even if the rest of you are roundly buggered, me and Mrs. C are safe. And that's got to be a comfort to us all, eh?
With tragedy of heart and great despair, I come before you with grave news to share. For since he left to fight at 3:15, no sign of Peter Clement has been seen. You'll all recall how daily from his home he'd gallop boldly forward on his horse, that whitened mare with fur like porcelain, upon which he would tread his well-trod course. 'Twas on this mare he stumbled on a hive of dreadful snuggle-huggedness contained. He bravely drew his sword and ventured in, intent to fight till all within was slain. And soon, but soon, there came upon that place the bodyguards assigned him by the state, whom daily he did deign to give the slip, and thus they did arrive a moment late. From deep within the hive they heard him roar, his blade the rusty twat basher raised hell, yet with a cry of "Fuck my arse, that's sore," beneath the toilet-papered mounds, he fell. Oh, what a fall was there, my citizens! Then I and you and all the team fell down, while tiny voices laughed from deep beneath. Oh, curse that much beloved reckless fool that weighed his pride 'gainst purple fur-clad teeth. If only he had shuttered up his doors, his windows boarded safe and waxed his floors. If only he had taken our advice and helped the team by staying safe indoors. Oh, woe that he should meet such bitter end, my laughter and my confidant, my friend. Thank you.
Hey, this one ought to take you back a little bit. I mean, seriously, why have a lockdown without a lock-in, eh? Here we go. When you're feeling hopeless and you just can't work things out, I've got just the job. Oh yes. When there's too much water for a little tiny spout, I've got just the job. Mist is when your pipes are clogged and all your walls have stains. I pop around when your hubby's out and root among your drains. But don't you mind how long be gone when he comes back again. And that's just a job. I've got the perfect tool